California and other states better brace for a price increase at the pump. A 65-cent per gallon gas price hike could be hitting pumps by July 1st, 2025. And it's sparking outrage among lawmakers and consumers because this is not about lawmakers. It's the California Air Resources Board at it again. The state's air quality regulators that were appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom updated their clean fuel program in November of 2024 to push cleaner energy for electric vehicles, EVs. But Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones calls it a hidden tax that could drive gas prices up to a staggering $8 a gallon by 2026, squeezing working families and nudging them toward bankruptcy. With the federal EV mandate now repealed, California's aggressive state policies, including its 2035 gas vehicle ban, which the state has the right to have but not on a federal level, has influenced a dozen other states to follow its lead. With 2 oil refineries closing and AAA survey shows 63% of Americans rejecting EVs, this raises a critical question. Is California and its following states sacrificing their paycheck for climate goals? Well, it certainly seems that way. Buckle up for a deep dive into this contentious plan, the fight to stop it, and what it means for drivers nationwide. This is a story you're going to want to share with every driver you know. But first, I want to remind you to like this video and to subscribe to our channel to keep up with what's going on in the automotive world. And here's a quick word from our video sponsor. Have you ever wondered what happened to Chuck Norris? At 84, he's still kicking butt, working out and full of energy for his grandkids. Shockingly, he's stronger and feels like he's in his 50s, all from one simple change. His wife started doing it too. Feels 10 years younger and has all-day energy. Chuck shares his method in a special video at chuckdefense.com/car. Click the link below to watch it now. You won't believe how easy it is. He focuses on 3 things that sabotage our health as we age. Visit chuckdefense.com/car to learn more. This clean fuel plan may be green dreams, or is it just a costly burden on you? I think you're going to be able to answer this pretty quickly. In November of 2024, regulators updated their clean fuel program to reduce the carbon intensity of transportation fuels by 30% by 2030 and 90% by 2045. Basically, they're aligning with California's 2035 ban on new gasoline-powered vehicles, which means people will go out of state and get vehicles if they can afford the gasoline. And this is where it all comes in. The program incentivizes low-carbon fuels like biofuels and EV charging, while penalizing high-carbon producers like gasoline refineries who must buy credits to comply. Regulators claim that this will spark $4 billion annually to clean transportation investments, saving $5 billion in healthcare costs by cutting air pollution, and that includes 558 million metric tons of greenhouse gases by 2045. So they claim. But this is where the reality kicks in. Those penalties hit consumers at the pump. Estimates suggest the update could raise California gas prices by 47 to 65 cents a gallon starting July 1st, 2025. That's just around the corner, with some projections reaching 85 cents by 2030 and $1.50 additionally by 2035. A University of Pennsylvania report warns prices could hit $8 a gallon by 2026, worsened by the closure of 2 refineries, reducing California's refining capacity by 8.3%. Jones, who filed a public records request to probe the regulator's transparency, called it, in quote, a blatant price gouging by an unelected board of wealthy bureaucrats, handpicked by the governor. That should not surprise anyone. With the federal EV mandate gone, Jones argues California's push to make gasoline unaffordable is a state-level power grab to force drivers into EVs and overriding consumer choice, which we're constantly talking about. Legislators are fighting back. A freedom-minded stand for transparency comes from Jones and other California Republicans who are investigating the regulator's process, alleging that the governor's office hid the hike's true cost. The update passed days after the 2024 election. How convenient. Ignoring a petition from nearly 13,000 signatures urging a delay. Senator Maria Alvarado Gil, a co-author of the bill to repeal the amendments, said, quote, My rural and Central Valley constituents can't afford an increase in gas prices, and this was approved by an unelected board of disconnected people who don't even care about Californians. The state's administrative law office paused the hike in February 2025 on technical grounds, but regulators have 120 days to revise and resubmit, keeping the threat alive. Now, this reeks of government overreach. The regulators' refusal to provide updated cost estimates, sticking with the 47-cent projection despite higher expert figures, and that's eroded trust across the board. Climate economist Danny Cullenward criticized their secrecy, saying it undermines public confidence. Jones agrees. The program is designed to price gas so high that families have no choice but to buy an EV. But that doesn't make sense because they're more expensive than a gasoline-powered car. And if you have a used car, why would you buy a new one? No, they can't afford it. And whether they can afford it or not doesn't make a difference. With the federal EV mandate repealed, California's state policies include the 2035 vehicle ban. They're going to pretend like it didn't even happen. They're going to stand out as a unilateral push from Sacramento to control what you drive. And this sets a precedent for other states. And this is where you come in. Do you live in New York, Washington State, Oregon, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, others? Well, they're going to adopt those similar rules. Now, will the prices rise by 65 cents a gallon? We don't know. It depends what the governor wants to do, or an unelected group of bureaucrats. With gasoline prices already at $1.47 above the national average in California alone, this hike could cost Californian drivers an additional $600 to $1,000 a year that they might not have. It hits hardest with those living paycheck to paycheck. Many advocates see this as a violation of market principles. Consumers, not bureaucrats, should decide what fuels their vehicles. Other states are starting to feel the heat. The gasoline prices are starting to increase like California, and the repeal of the federal EV mandate, which had aimed at 56% of new vehicle sales to be all electric by 2032, well, that's not going to happen. It was removed by Congress, shifts the burden to the states with their own EV policies. Roughly a dozen states, covering about 35% of the U.S. population, adopted California's clean air rules, including the 2035 gasoline vehicle ban. Again, states like New York, Washington, Oregon, Massachusetts, New Jersey, I'll go on. But this requires an increased percentage of zero of vehicle emissions sales. And that's going to be a challenge, because starting with 35% by 2026, which is never going to happen, and reaching 100% by 2035. Again, we know this isn't going to happen, but they're still pushing for it. Without federal backing, these states face pressure to either double down or scale back. And we know where California stands. New York, for instance, has invested $1.2 billion in EV charging infrastructure, but its high electricity costs and rural charging gaps mirror California's challenges. Washington and Oregon are reliant on California's fuel supply, which could see gas prices hike between 10 to 20 cents a gallon by July 1st due to refinery closures. Though they lack clean fuel programs as aggressive as California's plan, you're still going to pay the price. Now, will these states hike gas prices too? Well, that we don't know, but unlike California, none have announced plans mirroring California's California Air Resource Board's 65-cent hike. But their clean car mandates could indirectly raise fuel costs for their residents. Plus, supply and demand will push some states to raise prices. Other states' regulatory credit systems, well, they're similar to California and force fuel producers to buy credits for high carbon fuels, and those costs are passed on to you. In New York, analysts estimate potential gas price increases of 10 to 15 cents per gallon by 2026 if EV adoption lags and carbon credit prices rise. And that's going to happen if they continue to take this stance. And it's expected to be based on states' demand for control. However, the absence of a federal EV subsidies like the $7,500 tax credit, which is going away in the big beautiful bill, will slow EV sales nationwide, prompting states to tighten fuel regulations to meet emissions goals, which drive gas prices higher. Critics argue that these states are following California's lead, prioritizing climate agenda over affordability, especially since AAA study that just came out showed that 63% of Americans reject EVs due to the cost of high insurance rates, infrastructure concerns, the vehicle itself, and so on. For now, California's gas price hike remains the steepest, but its influence could push other states towards similar measures, squeezing drivers nationwide, especially if you're traveling during the summer. The AAA survey I mentioned shows a lot of pushback. Californians aren't alone in their frustration, and the federal mandates repeal hasn't eased their concerns. And AAA survey also said that those 63% of U.S. adults that are unlikely or very unlikely to buy an EV, well, they're citing high purchase prices, 59%, battery repairs, 62%, and insufficient charging stations, that's a nationwide problem, at 56%. In California, where electricity costs are double the national average, charging an EV could be nearly as expensive as fueling a gasoline-powered vehicle, or even more expensive. And the program's $162 billion cost through 2046, with $105 billion going to EV charging credits, benefits energy companies, often subsidized by you, the taxpayer. Yet with EV financing averaging $783 monthly, these perks favor wealthier households, leaving working families squeezed by both gas and electricity prices. The oil refinery closures make things worse. Losing capacity could add 8.2 to 14 cents per gallon right out of the box. And combined with clean fuel program and a scheduled excise tax, that's 1.1 to 1.8 cents a gallon, that totals a hike of 55 cents to 90 cents a gallon by 2025. This is the plan of the California Air Resources Board and Gavin Newsom. This will ripple through the supply chain, raising costs for groceries, manufacturing, and transportation because everything is transported. Whether you don't go get it, you order it on your phone through an app, somebody's going to pay for the fee of the gasoline or the electricity, and that will be us. The auto industry is taking a more market-driven approach that freedom-minded drivers can appreciate. With the federal EV mandate gone, manufacturers are focusing on consumer demand, investing in a mix of EVs, hybrid, and gasoline-powered vehicles. Some are building new factories to produce EVs, but they're also expanding into hybrids by 2026, reflecting growth in interest in fuel-efficient options that don't rely on sparse charging infrastructure. Gas-powered vehicles remain popular in most markets, showing a commitment to diverse options. A brand that's paying attention will be ones that succeed. The balanced strategy ensures drivers have choices that fit their lives, not what the state regulators dictate, especially the unelected ones. By offering hybrids, gas vehicles alongside EVs, these manufacturers shield themselves from policy swings like California's clean fuel rules or potential tariff changes while respecting consumers' freedom. Here's the bigger picture. Is it about climate goals or your freedom? California regulators are defending the clean fuel program, claiming it's critical for California's net zero emissions goal by 2045, projecting a $4.8 billion in clean fuel investments for disadvantaged communities and significant pollution reductions. But who's going to pay for that? But critics are arguing that the benefits are overstated and overpriced. EVs produce 26% more tire particulate pollution than gasoline-powered vehicles and impacts people's health and air quality, potentially offsetting their 12% carbon reduction over hybrids. With gasoline prices possibly hitting $8 a gallon by 2026, the goal of the program is to force drivers into EVs, public transportation, even as electricity costs soar, making California the only state where gas might be cheaper than charging. There is also limited public transportation through much of the state, which could leave many stranded. Many Californians are talking online about being state coercion, not progress. The Clean Fuel Program, combined with other state regulators, mandates cleaner trucks and cars and creates a web that penalizes gasoline-powered vehicles and subsidies for EVs, if they have the money, because the EV program subsidies is gone in California and the federal's gone as well. And this distorts the market. With the federal EV mandate repealed, California's policies and those of states like New York and Washington stand out as aggressive attempts to control what you drive. Jones's investigation into the regulators' communications with the governor's office aims to expose whether this is deliberate push to eliminate gasoline-powered cars without voter input. It certainly sounds like that. And Assemblyman Tom Lackey warned politicians will have to answer for the outrage of their constituents when gas prices jump yet again. Oh, I hope you actually go to the voting booth and make a change. California and the rest of the country deserves it. What does this really mean to you if you drive in California, Arizona, or Nevada, where California's fuel supply impacts their prices? Prepare for a hit to your wallet. Gas could jump 65 cents per gallon by July of 2025, potentially reaching $8 a gallon by 2026. And drivers in states like New York, Washington, and Oregon could see smaller increases, possibly 10 to 20 cents per gallon, as their clean rules drive up fuel costs. Ask yourself, can you afford an EV? Do you want an EV? What if you don't? Is your charging reliable near you? If not, you're among the 63% pushing back, and some manufacturers are keeping gas and hybrid options available to you, or you can always get a used car. You don't have to buy new. But California's unelected board and similar regulators in other states threaten your choices. A proposed bill could stop California's hike, but it faces a tough fight in a legislature aligned with the governor. You need to take the wheel. California's 65-cent gas price hike and the ripple effect into other states following its lead is not just about fuel, it's also about electricity. And it's about who controls your choices. With the federal EV mandate gone, some state regulators are doubling down as if this never passed, pushing an EV agenda that could price you out of gasoline-powered cars, both new and used. And they don't really care. Will gas prices hit $8 a gallon in California, or will lawmakers halt the mandate? We can only hope that it's halted. With other states following their own hikes, share this article, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and tell me, are you ready to pay more at the pump, or are you willing to fight for your freedom to drive what you choose? Don't let the bureaucrats take the wheel. Get in the driver's seat and make your voice heard. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.